say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. Oh, ooh, the master of my sea. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took to me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the... Your spirit to a dove, oh, ooh, your spirit up above, oh, ooh.
Are you deranged like me? Are you strange like me? Lighting matches just to swallow up the flame like me? Do you call yourself a fucking hurricane like me? Pointing fingers cause you never take the blame like me. Say, you can't wake up, this is not a dream. You're part of a machine, you are not a human being. You should face so man up.
Ever lived, ebbing and flowing, inhibited, limited, till it broke up when it rained down like...
Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of shadows.
Follow, sweet children, I'll show thee the way through all the pain and the sorrows. Weep not, poor children, for life is this way, murdering beauty and passions. Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say you murdered 3. Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree.
Hush now, dear children, it must be this way, too weary of life and deceptions. Strange things did happen here.
through all the pain and sorrow.
Strange things did happen here, no stranger it would be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Strange things did happen here, no stranger it
Is
would
this way?
be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you
Hello everybody and welcome to Citrus Quest. I am your amazing and slightly out of it host. My name is Ichabod Orange, and today with us for this wonderful show we have Bridge Building Heathen and Real Mint Fox.
Hello.
Our darling Mint Fox is coming to us live from, well, not here.
The basement. The basement of my parents. I guess I don't know how to explain it. No, it's not the basement. Technically, I am living with my parents temporarily to go back to school.
Yup.
Yeah, that's the best way of explaining it.
Or vacation, either way.
Fucking vacation. Yeah, it totally feels like a vacation. Literally, you've been sick for months. Yeah, totally a vacation. Which, I did want to ask you about that after the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We can always talk about that after the show. We only go for an hour. So.
I am
Yeah,
muted,
I know.
but I am. Or I was muted, but I am in studio with Ichabod, so I thought I would be hearable via his mic, like Minty often used to be, and apparently not.
Sorry, I know he's only got a headset. Sorry about that.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh God!
No, I'm
That
just
explains a
saying
lot.
that this morning when I was on Sunday Fun Day, everybody thought there was an echo because I was in studio, and it's like, well, whoops.
Yeah, I know what it is. It's basically you're sitting right next to him. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, so what are the topics of this show? We're gonna move on from that.
Well, right now, for the main concept of the show, I'm going to read spooky stories. Because this is the first
lovely.
day, well, the first show of October. And, yeah.
It is Halloween themed, I'm assuming.
It is mildly Halloween themed. So, does anybody else have a spooky anecdote or something cool that happened during Halloween before I get started with this?
I mean, I could tell you the funny story when I was a child. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
sure,
know
go
how
for it.
personal you want to make this. How personal do you want me to get this stream, or
If you want to
unpersonal?
tell a story from when you were a kid, that's fine.
Well, okay, so there was this the same city kind of area that I'm kind of living in, a different house, of course, but there's this place called El Rancho Heights. It was right close by to where my house was, so that we'd always go there because that's where the rich candy was. Anyway, moving on from that, my father took us, brother, and took us to that place. Go have fun. Yeah, I'll be in a car. If you need me, I'm right here. I'll be watching. And so he drove around in the car, watching us, making sure we were, safe.
Yeah.
And if we got too cold, we could always go into the vehicle, all that stuff. Anyway, basically what happened was there was this one house that I approached that had I suppose it was like a Wolfman themed kind of
Jesus.
house. And one of the guys out there, and I knew it was a guy because of the way that he, he had an open shirt, had a wolf mask, like one of those really creepy wolf masks from I don't know if anybody's ever seen what was that one, Goosebumps, the one with the Wolfman mask, kind of what it looked like. Anyway, so this guy was going around scaring the kids, going, "Grrr," you know, scaring them off and all that. So I approached him, you know, being the brave little whatever old I was. I think I was like 8 or 9, but I was really young. And I approached him, and I was like, "I know you're not real." And so, to this day, or, well, not to this day, because, you know, he's no longer in my life, but till I was about 18 years old, and living with both my birth parents, they, my father made fun of me because I said, "I know you're not real," and he chased me into the vehicle. And I was screaming the entire way as I was running towards the vehicle. And, yeah, he started, like, pawing at the windows and stuff like that, you know, trying to give me a good scare, and then just, you know, wandered off after a minute.
Little ass.
But, yeah. That was one of the stories from my childhood that my family never let go.
I don't fucking doubt it.
Well, especially since I was young and I was trying to be, you know, that brave. I was trying to be a grown up and, you know, all brave and stuff. I wasn't.
Well, I mean, I have a similar story to that, but it was my brother, actually. You know, the usual trick-or-treating. Hang on. There we go. Shit, my brain farted. Oh, yeah, so we were out trick-or-treating, and there was what looked like a scarecrow sitting on the porch. And nobody ever thought it was real. And most of the time, no indication. Dude had to have held his breath when kids walked up. So here comes me, my brother Josh, and my other brother. And we're going up the steps, and Josh points out to the house owner that the scarecrow's, like, a little crooked. So up comes this dude, because it was a dude, comes up and goes, "Rah!" Right? Josh punches him right square in the dick. And he goes down, and we all could not apologize enough. We felt horrible.
Yeah, I've done similar things to people who tried to scare me before. One of them, I had a knife in my hand. Not my fault, by the way.
Not your finest moment either.
It technically was not. I was cutting something up on a table, and somebody turned towards me when I was, you know, working. I was working in like a production plant. I was cutting something on a table, and somebody approached me, tapped me on the shoulder. I had a knife in my right hand, and the way I turned looked like I was brandishing a fucking weapon at them. So that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Well,
I almost cut a bitch.
Well, it's a good thing that in my story, I had neither a dick to punch nor did anyone in the place have a knife, because there was one time where I was in like a super gothy dress and was kind of like wearing all kinds of stuff, and I had like these boots. And, like, basically the only skin you could see of me was my face, which I had done with like pancake white makeup, like the Crow style almost. So like the kids thought I was fake too, and I'd even like propped myself kind of like limp against the wall. So everybody thought I was fake. So basically, like, I have been in the shoes of the poor Frelling Scarecrow. So I'm glad that I did not get bodily injured doing that. I'll put it that way.
Surprise! Dick punch!
Thankfully, there's nothing there.
Well,
Joke's on you.
Well, I mean, I've dick punched somebody before, but it was on purpose. So, moving on from that.
Jesus.
This was under the... Well, it was... Basically, my brother was being a douchebag, and, yeah.
So a day that ends with Y?
Yeah, that one. He was doing something or another. Oh, by the way, I got a story to tell you about what my family member said to me after the show. But anyway.
Yeah, let's stick with spoopy stuff.
I'm sorry, I'll say this really quick, though. I need him in the groin, basically, because he's a dick.
Need him
so
right
yes,
in what
I have
he
done
was.
it before. Well, I was under the age of 18, and my mother corrected the behavior afterwards. So yeah.
Alright. So, alright. Are we ready for this? This is a story from a book from my childhood. Hello?
I have lubed
I'm
up
sorry,
my. I'm
I'm
sorry.
just giggling because I think I know what's happening.
I have lubed up my anus for this. Go ahead.
God. While we are reading the story, if you can put your spooky questions in the side chat here, it would be appreciated. For this stream only, it is not technically a Would You Rather $1 million, but it just has to be spooky or Halloween related in some way. The fuck did she grab? Oh, a toy.
Oh, she was messing with one of the plastic bags. Speaking of which, where is Citrus Cat, as she is now known?
It's right there.
Oh, okay,
Huh?
she's in that box. Never mind.
I'm confused.
The cat.
The cat.
Oh,
Yes, the cat is now called Citrus Cat because she's the studio cat now.
God damn. Well, to be fair, at least it's gonna help with all the terrible things that are in the house. So
Yeah.
Let's not go there. That's a little too personal.
Sorry, couldn't help it. It was funny. Anyway, moving on.
Alright. So, here is the story. So again, this was from when I was a kid. This was from a book called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, read it, but most people have because, you know, kids were always watching it, right? So this one is one of my personal favorites because it was kind of... A lot of the stories had like a punchline, but this one really didn't. It was more of a actual scary story. Alright. The timber wolves around French Creek had gotten out of hand. There were so many wolves, the farmers could not stop them from killing their cattle and sheep. So the state put a bounty on them. It would pay a hunter $10 for every wolf pelt he turned in. A butcher in town named Bill Williams thought that was pretty good money. He stopped working as a butcher and started killing wolves. He was good at it. Every year he killed over 500 of them. That came to more than $5,000. It was quite a bit of money in those days. After 4 or 5 years, Bill had killed so many wolves there were hardly left in the area. So he retired, and he vowed to never harm another wolf because wolves had made him rich. Then, one day, a farmer reported that a white wolf had killed 2 of his sheep. He had shot at it and hit it, but the bullets didn't have any effect. Soon that wolf was seen all over the countryside, killing and running, but nobody could stop it. One night, it came into Bill's yard and killed his pet cow. Bill forgot about his decision never to harm another wolf. He went into town the next morning and bought a young lamb for bait. He took it out into the hills and tied it to a tree. Then he backed off about 50 yards and sat down under another tree. With his gun in his lap, he waited. When Bill didn't come back, his friends started looking for him. Finally, they found the lamb. It was still tied to a tree. It was hungry, but it was alive. Then they found Bill. He was still sitting against the other tree, but he was dead. His throat had been torn open. There was no sign of a struggle. His gun hadn't been fired, and there were no tracks in the soil around him. As for the white wolf, he was never seen again. That's the end of that story. Ooh, spooky.
Interesting. It was spooky. That's so spooky. You know what? Speaking of these scary stories in the dark, you know one of the worst ones that actually terrified me as a child was?
What is that?
The spider one with the one that bit the woman's face, and then it grew and it grew, and then it eventually exploded into a million spider babies.
Oh, God. That one was fucked up. I actually don't know if that one's in this particular book.
I don't know. I know there's one of them, though. That has that, and it's one of the most fucked up stories I read, and I was like, that was the one that stuck with me since I was becoming an adult.
Well, I've got
that one story.
Well, I've got one more from this book that I will eventually read, but if you guys have any spooky anything, you can totally, Halloween-y stuff.
Well, what was your? Let me ask you guys something. What would you say did you have any particular favorites from Grimm's Tales? Like all of the little fairy tales that came from all that. Did you guys have any particular favorites?
I actually don't have a copy of Grimm's, but I do have a copy of the original versions of the Hans Christian Andersen tales. And I don't know if you know this, but among other things, the original version of The Little Mermaid is downright creepy, especially towards the end. Am I wrong?
Yeah, actually,
No, you were not
no,
wrong.
you're not wrong. I know what you're talking about. Isn't that the one where basically the witch dies, the Ariel dies, and something about the prince remarries or something like that? Or
No. Okay, so in the original version of The Little Mermaid, first of all, when she goes to see the witch, who is actually a very minor character, the entire area is like lined with the skeletons of other mermaids who died.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And then on top of that, when she goes and when she goes and okay, so first of all, her price isn't just to lose her voice. It's that she winds up having it so that every single step she takes, it's like stepping on knives.
Oh, I heard glass on that one, but yeah.
Well, knives or glass. It's described both ways.
It's painful, yeah.
But then on top of that, unlike he does not get the person she was trying to go after, and instead he does marry someone else, and what winds up happening is that she realizes that she will not get, because it was a religious thing to the tale. The whole point was not only that she was trying to fall in love, it's that she was trying to gain an immortal soul. So what happens is, having failed to gain an immortal soul, she would have lived for 500 years. But she knew that at dawn she would turn into sea foam on the day of his marriage to someone else. It wasn't just 3 days, it was much longer, but she knew that on dawn of his marriage to someone else, she would turn into sea foam. Well, her sisters come to her, and they offer her a knife, and they tell her that if she stabs his bride, she can at least live out the end of her 500 years with them below the sea. But she actually genuinely does love him. So she refuses to do it, and she prepares herself to die. And as she does so, these air elementals, you might say, instead of mermaids, come to her and call. Oh, did I?
Yeah.
It sounds like cut out on the stream, or just in. Minty can hear me, but not the stream.
I can hear her. I can hear her just fine. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
The stream might not be able to. Is what I think
weird.
he's trying to say.
Okay.
But yeah, so long story short, basically they go around and they wind up encouraging children in good deeds, but whenever they find a child being naughty, it adds time to their penance.
Huh.
So it becomes a morality tale for children that's kind of gets creepy that way.
Have you ever?
Because of course it did.
I know there is a tale in. I don't know if it's in Grimm's, but I could have sworn there is one that, like, the original where the Notre Dame frickin' thing originated from.
That Notre Dame is its own book. It's not in Grimm's.
I thought. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure. I was like, there's no way it can be a Grimm's, but yeah, I did read part of that too. By the way, it was fucked up. But yeah, I didn't read the entire book. I will admit that, but I did read part of it. And I think he wasn't obsessed with Esmeralda or something like that, but he was, like, he wanted to. It wasn't like a love obsession. It was something else, and I can't remember specifically what it was.
He did love her in the book, but the thing is it wasn't it wasn't a lusty thing. Like, he wasn't trying to get with her or anything. He did love her, however. But the end of how it came out is actually very Halloween-y creepy. They wind up being buried together with their skeletons intertwined.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Courtly love.
That's what I remember.
Courtly love, by the way.
Courtly love. Yeah, that is the correct yes. Well, because back then people
correct.
didn't get married because of love. They got married because it was arranged, but courtly love was an acceptable form of infatuation that happened. Yes.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. And to be fair, that you just had to pay, what was it, like, certain amount of sheep or some weird-ass fucking number of certain... Or you
well, no, that's for marriage, though. That wasn't for courtly love. That wasn't...
What's the penance for courting, then?
Well, courtly love isn't a courting. Like, okay, so arranged marriages, you had like a dowry and stuff like that.
Right, I know
Courtly
about
love
that.
was simply kind of like worshiping someone from afar, and you would exchange little trinkets and things, but it was never acted on beyond that.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that is.
So, like the original
makes
long
sense.
distance relationship in a way.
Yeah, I get.
That's desire to be fulfilled, or desire unfulfilled.
Echo.
Mute.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so it's
There you go.
desire to never be fulfilled, exaltation of the beloved lady, and the ennobling power of love were the laws of courtly love. So
Right.
basically,
We really.
Arthur and Guinevere was
So
his
they
wife.
were married. It was
No,
Lancelot
yeah,
and
no.
Guinevere.
I'm explaining.
Oh, okay.
Arthur and Guinevere were in love, right? But Lancelot and Guinevere had a courtly love situation. It was the French. I think it was the French version of it where that was muted. Okay.
No, I unmuted for a moment to say that, yeah, I mean, I don't even know that they were necessarily in love. It was an arranged marriage sort of deal. I mean, she was arranged to marry Arthur, but she did love Lancelot, because there's other versions where, you know, other things happen. And I know in the Italian version, Lancelot and Guinevere wind up in the hell together. No, that was another famous couple.
Remember,
Yeah, I don't.
La Morte d'Arthur was the one that had the courtly love thing, but the Vulgate cycle was the one that had where Lancelot becomes a monk, Guinevere ends up as a nun, and all sorts of shit goes down when Camelot goes down. But still.
That sort of happens in Mists of Avalon too, but that's a whole other book.
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but yeah. So can I? So back to spooky scary shit. Sorry, I didn't want to diverge the conversation. I just thought it was interesting to bring up them and a bunch, because
I know there's certainly something morbid and creepifying about it, at least.
Oh, especially just even if you want to throw in the beginning parts, like the just movie aspect, because that's what I remember the most about it. Like the fact that he was an unwanted, unloved bastard child that was of a gypsy heritage. I think the worst part about it, or the should say actually, because like he didn't get the love of his life, but he did eventually find acceptance within the community, even though he was a deformed freak, basically, as they would put it, or a deformed man. I just always thought that was interesting, that they never went down the love route, but Disney did go down the route of, well, yeah, we can't do that, but we can do this. At least he has a happy ending, which is what I kind of liked about that movie. I know, don't judge me.
No, you're
don't
fine.
Judge me.
Well,
I also like The Lion King. Oh god, the original Lion
The Lion King is not. Oh gosh.
Oh god,
okay.
the original Lion King is awful.
Wait, wasn't the original Lion King just Hamlet?
No.
Yeah, basically. It might as well have been.
We have another creepy story Ichabod's wanting to tell, and he's getting a little.
Well,
the original. Sorry.
The original Lion King was just Kembo the White Lion, the one from Japan. It was an anime, but that's where most of the ideas for the story came from. The whole arc came from that, but it was supposed to be a retelling of Hamlet.
Hamlet, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Our next spooky story is not really spooky. It's supposed to be funny, but regardless. Aaron Kelly was dead. They bought him a coffin and had a funeral and buried him. But that night, he got out of his coffin, and he came home. His family was sitting around the fire when he walked in. He sat down next to his widow and said, "What's going on? Y'all act like somebody died. Who's dead?" His widow said, "You are." "I don't feel dead," he said. "I feel fine." His widow said, "You don't look fine. You look dead. You better get back in the grave where you belong." "I'm not going back to the grave till I feel dead," he said. Since Aaron wouldn't go back, his widow couldn't collect his life insurance. Without that, she couldn't pay for the coffin, and the undertaker said he would take it back. Aaron didn't care. He sat by the fire, rocking in a chair, and warming his hands and feet, but his joints were dry and his back was stiff. And every time he moved, he creaked and cracked. One night, the best fiddler in town came to court the widow. Since Aaron was dead, the fiddler wanted to marry her. Two of them sat on one side of the fire, and Aaron sat on the other, creaking and cracking. How long do we have to put up with this dead corpse? The widow asked. Something must be done, the fiddler said. This isn't very jolly, let's dance. The fiddler got out his fiddle and began to play. Aaron stretched himself, shook himself, got up, took a step or two, and began to dance. With his old bones rattling, his yellow teeth snapping, his bald head wagging, and his arms flipping around, and he went around and around he went. With his long legs clicking and his knee bones knocking, he skipped and pranced around the room. How that dead man danced! But pretty soon a bone worked loose and fell to the floor. Look at that, said the fiddler. Play faster, said the widow. The fiddler played faster. Crickety-crack, down and back, the dead man went hopping. His dry bones kept dropping. This way, that way, the pieces just kept popping. Play, man, play, cried the widow. The fiddler fiddled, and the dead Aaron danced. And then Aaron fell apart, collapsed in a pile of bones, all except his bald head bone that grinned at the fiddler, cracking his teeth, and kept on dancing. Look at that, groaned the fiddler. Play louder, cried the widow. Ho, ho, said the head bone. Ain't we having fun? The fiddler couldn't stand it and said, Widow, I'm going home. And he never came back. The family gathered up Aaron's bones and put him back in the coffin. They mixed him up so he couldn't fit them together, and after that, Aaron stayed in his grave. But his widow never did get married again. Aaron had seen to that.
Oh. Oh, I get it. Oh, that's terrible. God damn it. You fucking dick.
It's a good story.
Yeah, but she's dead. We all know it.
Yeah.
I don't totally get it.
He come back to make
Basically-
sure his widow didn't get remarried.
Okay.
And so she's dead.
Wait, how is she dead?
She's not dead.
No, he's dead. She's not dead. I'm confused.
She got murdered.
No, she didn't.
No,
she
Oh. That's how I took it, but I heard a lot
She
less
never
than
got
you did. I don't
married
know.
again.
Yeah, but you said he'd make sure to that.
Yeah, Aaron had seen to that, because he come back and started dancing as a dead man. Oh, nobody want to marry the widow of a guy who might come back and be like, bitch, what you doing?
All fair. That's stupid, though.
All right.
That's funny. I thought you were. I misheard the name. I guess. I'm really tired too, so forgive me on that.
I might be able to tell a
I
short one from memory that's of a
wouldn't be
similar
able
theme.
to. Maybe I could think of something. Give me a minute.
All
There-
right.
Okay. So, there is a Scottish folktale of the dancing square. And so young people used to go out to the square and they would dance. And am I audible? I'm just checking. Can you hear me?
Kimba. Yes.
Can people hear me on the stream? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Because I can't hear myself, so I'm just wondering. Sometimes I can. That's probably, yeah. All right, anyway. So, young people go out to the square to dance, and there were girls who would always go. But the thing is, she just kind of go and be sad, and she'd watch all the other people dance, and then she'd go home. Well, one day the stranger approaches her and asks her to dance. And she's like, no, you want to dance with someone else. I no. And he kind of insists. And so he takes her dancing, and they dance together quite a lot. And she realizes as they dance that it's the same person who's the reason she goes, but no longer dances. For you see, a long, long time ago, she had fallen in love with a sailor who had used to taking her to dance there. And the thing is he had been supposedly lost at sea. After he was lost at sea, she would still go in kind of memory of him, since she had nowhere else to visit. But she would never dance with anyone because she was very sad about the whole thing. Well, here's the thing. He says that he came back one more time to give her a bit of closure, but that he would never see her again and she must move on. And she refused. She's like, no, take me with you. And he's like, I live very far away in a very small place. You cannot come with me. And she insisted and insisted. So he's like, all right, fine. And he's like very cross with her. And he orders her to get on the horseback. And as they run, she realizes that even though it's not raining, clothes get damper and damper. And she realizes that he feels thinner and thinner. And he eventually explains to her, as they arrive at his home, that it is, in fact, that they arrive at a cemetery. And he tells her, my clothes are not wet from the sea. My clothes are wet because every single time you've cried over me in all these months I was lost. The tears have come all the way to my grave, and they have kept me from finding rest. So now you will rest with me in my grave. That way you will stop bothering me.
Jesus.
And she tries to get away from him, and he grabs her by her scarf. And the next day, she manages to get away, but she loses her scarf, and having liked that scarf very much, she does eventually come back to the cemetery in daylight. And the grave doesn't look disturbed, and she can't find it. But then she eventually finds a corner of her scarf. And, you know, she tells the groundskeeper, look, I really want that scarf. And they dig all the way down the grave, and it is actually clutched in his hand and tie the extent the grave down. So it really was him.
Yes.
Old Scottish folk tale, kind of creepy. Basically a way to get old Scottish widows to move the fuck on, or young Scottish widows, I guess.
What? Meh.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. I'm not saying that wasn't scary, but it just meh. It was good.
Alright, fine. It's a similar theme to the skull one, and it sounded better to me.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, that one was better.
Alright, fine.
It wasn't great, but it was better than the other one.
Alright,
True.
fine. One more.
Do you want me to say one, or?
Are you ready?
Well, not really. I'm trying to find a really good one at the moment, so.
Alright,
maybe
find you a
I'm
good one,
prepared
but
to.
make sure it's a little short, because this is going to be short. Alright. An old man was out for a walk when a storm came up. He looked for a place to take shelter. Soon, he came to an old house. He ran up to the porch and knocked on the door, but nobody answered. By now, the rain was pouring down. Thunder was sat down in front of the fire and dried himself. It was so warm, and when he opened his eyes, there was a second cat in the room, but this one was as big as a wolf. It looked at him very closely, and it asked, "Shall we do it now?" "No," said the other cat. "Let's wait till Martin comes." "I must be dreaming," thought the old man. He closed his eyes again, and he took another look. But there was a third cat in the room, this one as big as a tiger. "Tell him I couldn't wait," he called back.
Silly
Do
person.
this
That's the
again.
same topic. Well, if we do this, prepared. But at the moment, I'm just going through like Google page after Google page. But very in pure form. When my brother Charlie has to go away, my parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is. That I am lucky for having make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom is likely far surpasses mine. Considering he is confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg them to give him one last chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each shorter in the duration than the last. Every time, without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats, with gouged out eyes, showing up in his toy chest. My dad's razors found dipped on the baby side in the park across the street, or the baby slide across the street. Mom's vitamin C, and to trick doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. Then I will just have to put up with my boredom at the end.
Huh. So Charlie was
So
a
basically-
hallucination?
No, Charlie most likely was the one, the kid that was actually, Charlie was actually the good boy, and the brother was actually the bad one, the one telling the story.
Ah. See, See, that makes sense. What the
So-
fuck am I on top chat? Not
So
live chat? There we go.
basically, he most likely had antisocial personality disorder, was a manipulative little bastard, and basically made
Fair
it seem
enough.
like his brother was the one that was the, yeah. So basically, he should have been put in a mental institution instead of Charlie.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it may be a little early, but due to the storm outside, I am going to cut the show off. Because, well, let's face it, storms is bad. What?
I do have one last thing to close it with, maybe.
Go ahead then. I don't know. I don't even know what I would do for that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be a little bit interested on that.
All right. Let's see. Let me think. I'm trying to think of the other half of it. That's the thing.
I might have one, and it's kind of based off that last one.
Mine's a very simple one.
Okay. Go on.
I'm trying to think of how to phrase it though, because I'm trying to think of the second half. Okay. Would you rather actually be a vampire, or would you rather actually have to babysit Frankenstein's monster?
Babysit.
Think about that though. Like,
I mean, a lifelong debilitating freaking disease versus something that's like maybe 5 to 6 hours at best.
oh no, not necessarily 5 or 6 hours.
Talking like weekly or
Yeah,
that's what I'm
let's say on a regular basis for a
How
long
regular?
time.
How regular and how long?
Let's say weekly, but for years and years.
Weekly, as in 1 to 2 days, or like
Sure.
1 day.
Let's
Okay.
let's say it's like a divorced dad. You have to deal with Frankenstein every weekend.
Okay, I could do that. I'd sooner
Every
do that
weekend
than
for
me have a
years?
debilitating. Yeah, even for years. At least then, eventually, I could freaking get out of it. But with the vampire thing, that's a lifetime commitment.
more than one life.
Yeah, that's true. More than one lifetime. What about you?
Okay.
Go ahead and
Okay,
get this
okay.
second.
But I got one. Can I say one?
But I
more?
haven't answered.
What's your answer then?
Well, if we really consider this, we're going with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, not like the movie representation, right? Okay, so the concept of it is Frankenstein himself, like the monster, was just lonely. Like, Dr. Frankenstein basically just abandoned him. What he wanted was a family dynamic. So the concept of babysitting him isn't necessarily a negative concept. The only thing that was really horrifying about Frankenstein was he has little weird eyes. That was it.
Yeah.
Everything else, like, yeah, he was a little viscerally disturbing to look at. But well, he was a little viscerally disturbing to look at. But aside from that concept, there wasn't a whole lot wrong with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You know, sit down, play video games with the dude. He'd fucking love that shit. He was very scientifically minded, very intelligent, quick learning. I mean, hell, if you really consider the concept, you could be one of the best, become a part of a leading scientist team just by hanging out with Frankenstein's monster. Fuck, give the man a name. Find him a girlfriend. All the goth bitches hanging around these days, we can find one.
I'm gonna get a really gruesome picture in your mind about this one. Razor blades in your mouth after taking a bite of candy, or Tide dishwashing, like a detergent basically in your mouth, but for basically the same duration of as having the razor blades.
But you wouldn't have to swallow the Tide Pods?
Oh, you'd have to swallow on both ends.
Oh no! Oh no! Swallowing.
Razor blades with candy, or the Tide dishwashing detergent thing.
I mean, if you dilute bleach enough, technically you can drink it, because that's what they use to purify water from bacteria in some countries. So I guess that.
And people wonder why I don't like regular water that comes from the tap. Anyway, moving on. What would you pick? What?
So, in the concept here is, what are we talking about in quantity of bleach?
Just it's basically one Tide Pod versus one piece of candy with a couple of razor blades in it.
So about 6 ounces of bleach versus, I would say, a gaping mouth wound. Even
Yeah,
if you bit
basically.
down right, it would cut the mouth. But,
Yeah,
well,
but
you know,
you-
just bite
well-
into it. It didn't say anything about swallowing. It's just
No,
bite
she
into
did.
it. But
No, I did say swallow, technically.
oh
yeah.
yeah, no, you're dead with the swallowing it. You take the shot of bleach and you'll be sick, but fine.
No, you won't. Actually,
It would
it'll
not
kill
feel
you.
good. But you could survive it. But when it comes to the
Assuming you didn't get dehydrated and you didn't puke up blood, yes.
oh no,
you
you'll
would
still
survive
puke
it.
up blood and you will get dehydrated, but you can go to a hospital for that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but you could do the same thing with the other thing too. With those
Swallowing
gaping mouth
razor
wounds.
blades is not something you're gonna make it through,
Yeah, some people can. It's rare, but they
and
can.
it
It's just-
hurts like a bitch.
and you. Oh, you think that swallowing bleach is fun?
Oh no, swallowing bleach isn't fun. I've drank bleach before, and I've swallowed a piece of metal.
Oh, thank you for letting me know that.
So I know that the bleach is less painful. Fun
Ow!
fact.
Why did you have to say that to me? Ow! I'm imagining it.
Yeah, so as a concept, would you rather be immortal, but be able to survive any damage, but that damage is permanently on your body? So, like, if you get shot in the chest, you'll live through it, but you will have a gaping chest wound for the rest of your life. Well, for argument's sake, we'll say it does, you don't feel it. But that wound will forever be there. Like, there's no, unless you find some skin, patch it up, it's not coming back. Or,
I'm assuming you. Really quick, let me ask you on that end.
go ahead.
So if you lose a limb, does it grow back either way, or is
No,
it just
you
keep
permanently
losing
lost that limb.
Oh, that fucking sucks. So basically, you're saying the mortality without the
If
immortality.
you sew
bit.
it back on, you can still move it, and detached limbs can still be moved without being detached to the body, but only for
Yeah, but you're assuming-
6 hours.
Yeah, but you're assuming that the limb is going to be able to. Yeah, but you're assuming the limb's not going to be destroyed.
If the
too,
limb's completely
because-
destroyed, it's completely lost.
Can you attach another limb to yourself and use that?
Yes,
like
if you attach somebody else's limb to it, you can also do it, and let's say blood type is not required.
Okay. Next
Or-
one's gone. Sorry.
Be a werewolf and be completely aware of when you are transformed, but not entirely in control of your body. So let's say you turn into a werewolf and you murder your best friend. You are aware of what's happened, but you had no control in that situation.
Immortal. I would pick immortal any day of the week.
Bridge? Yes, there would be a smell.
Bridge, you need to unmute yourself if you're talking. Just letting you know. Nobody hears you. And it's all silent. Just letting you know.
Okay, so it would basically be American God style zombie, at least
Yeah,
for
it's
the
big
films.
concert, but yeah.
I would say immortal.
Hmm. I know enough about psychology. I'd sooner justify the werewolf thing. I don't know.
I don't know. I would say the immortal thing because even if you, I just don't like having the loss of control of my own.
I'm too OCD to rot. I'm sorry.
I'd be fine with rot. I'd go full fucking. What's her name? I know
What,
what. I know
Hella?
what bitch.
What's mythology?
No, not Hella. The fucking bitch from Halloween. Nightmare Before. Not
Sally.
Nightmare Before Elm Street. Yeah, Sally. I'd go full Sally. Fuck yeah.
Oh gosh, Ragdoll Cassie would approve.
Telegon
I could
actually
post-
has a point. Life would get boring after a few thousand years.
It would, but yeah, I could see why it would get boring, but it just, I don't know, there's always something new that's going to happen, though, I think. And new people to meet, and, you know, I would think that there might be a way to...
But as a werewolf, you'd always have new people to eat. So that was a bad joke.
That's not wrong, but god damn it.
This is true.
You're...
So,
Yeah,
I would like to personally thank Minty, who hopefully will be able to come back next week. Same Coon time, same Coon network.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And,
Definitely.
of course, I would also like to thank Bridge Building Heathen for helping with production and all that stuff.
Absolutely fine.
And I would also like to thank everybody for tuning in to this week's Citrus Quest. I would like to see you all right back here next week. Same Coon time, same Coon network. I've got raccoon shit to do. I'm going to leave you guys off with a terrible, terrible Nightcore version of This Is Halloween because I'm lame like that. Lucian does point out that there was an episode of The Twilight Zone where a guy bargained for immortality with the devil and wound up with a life sentence in prison. That would fucking suck. But life sentences are only 25 years, I think.
25 to life.
25 to life.
Yeah, but over a certain period of time, if you survive, they'll let you go. All right, I will see you guys next time. Where's that button that makes me flip over to the... Oh, you all can still hear me. You've heard nothing!
Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see. These are town of Halloween. This is Halloween, pumpkins screaming dead of night. This is Halloween, hated eyes glowing red. I am the one hiding under your stairs. Fingers like snakes and spiders in my hair. This is Halloween, 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 Halloween. In this town we call home, everyone else the pumpkin fun. In this town we love you now, everybody's waiting for the next surprise. I am the clown with a tearaway face, earring the flashing gun without a trace. I am the who when you call, who's there? I am the wind blowing through your air. I am the shadow on the moon at night, filling your dreams to the brim with fright.